Ozzy Osbourne, known as the father of heavy metal and the Prince of Darkness, has passed away at 76. In rock history, few names have left a mark as deep as Ozzy's. He wasn't just a music icon, he was a legend, admired and loved all over the world. But in the final weeks of his life, things weren't quite what many might picture for a star of his stature. In those moments, the man once called the Prince of Darkness no longer cared about fame or public attention. Ozzy Osbourne, the father of heavy metal and the Prince of Darkness, has passed away at the age of 76. Few names in rock history have left a legacy as powerful as his. He wasn't just a music icon, but a legend admired and loved across the world. Yet in the final weeks of his life, Ozzy was no longer concerned with fame or the spotlight. Instead, his heart was focused on one deeply personal wish, something only his wife Sharon could help fulfill. This wish wasn't ordinary. It was so meaningful that it defined his last days and gave him a sense of peace. If Ozzy's legacy has ever touched you, made you laugh, think, or feel inspired, show your support by liking this video and subscribing so you won't miss more unforgettable stories. And don't forget to leave a 1 in the comments if you feel connected to Ozzy, or a 0 if you see it differently. Now, let's step into this moving story and uncover what truly brought the Prince of Darkness peace in the final chapter of his life. A few weeks later, Ozzy Osbourne passed away, leaving behind an incredible musical legacy, a life full of wild moments, and a goodbye that shook fans around the world. His death marked the closing chapter of a true legend. In his final months, Ozzy carried a quiet understanding that time was slipping away. After years of battling Parkinson's disease, his health had clearly declined, and he knew his days were growing short. Through it all, Sharon Osborne, his partner through the highs and lows, was the first to see how serious things had become. More than just his wife, she was his closest friend and strongest support, standing with him during the hardest days most people never saw. Sharon knew what was coming and did everything in her power to make sure Ozzy spent his last moments in peace. The closing chapter of Ozzy Osbourne's life was not only about loss, but also a reflection of Sharon's determination to hold on to the beautiful memories they had created together. She carried the heartbreak of watching her partner grow weaker, yet she was the one who made sure Ozzy's wishes were honored. Through it all, Sharon showed incredible strength and unconditional love, standing by his side during the toughest days while quietly preparing for the goodbye they both knew was near. Even though Ozzy no longer had the energy to do the things he once loved, his final moments were filled with meaning, surrounded by family, friends, and the warmth of Sharon's love. In the end, Ozzy's story wasn't simply the conclusion of a remarkable life, but a lasting testament to love, sacrifice, and the musical legacy he left for the world. Parkinson's is a relentlessly progressive disease, and it took a heavy toll on many parts of Ozzy's body, especially his legs, as Sharon once shared in an interview. While it was clear that his health would never improve, it was still heartbreaking to see someone who had once dominated the stage with such energy become so physically frail. Yet what stood out most was that even as his body weakened, Ozzy never lost his mental sharpness. Those closest to him remembered him as a quick-witted, intelligent man who never let go of his sense of humor. He had a way of keeping people around him laughing and feeling at ease, creating warmth in even the hardest moments. Despite the challenges, Ozzy continued cracking jokes and sharing witty remarks, lifting the spirits of those by his side as life grew more difficult. Even as his body grew weaker, Ozzy's voice, the very gift that made him a rock legend, remained untouched by the disease. Fans who had followed him for years said his voice still carried the same raw power and resilience, a reminder of the incredible talent he had shared with the world for decades. Though his physical strength was fading, his voice stayed as moving, commanding, and unforgettable as ever, captivating everyone who heard it. That enduring sound was the clearest proof of Ozzy Osbourne's timeless artistry, a legacy that will live on in the hearts of music lovers everywhere, defying age, illness, and the passage of time. It was a striking contrast, a man whose body was weakened, yet whose spirit seemed to draw strength from something beyond himself. Even as Parkinson's took its toll, Ozzy discovered an inner resolve to face the final hurdles of his life. In his last weeks, his family noticed a change in him. He grew quieter, more thoughtful, almost as if each day was a step back through his past. His talks with Sharon often revolved around memories, the wild years with Black Sabbath, his incredible solo career, and a family life full of struggles, triumphs, and deep love. If anyone had a wild journey to reflect on, it was Ozzy Osbourne. As he came to terms with the time he had left, he spent much of it looking back on what he had lived through, while also speaking of the future, though he knew it meant only the few months that remained. Sharon later hinted at those private conversations, revealing that Ozzy had opened up to her about a few deeply important things he felt he needed to accomplish before he could finally let go. His words weren't just expressions of final wishes. They reflected a man determined to leave this world with a sense of fulfillment and peace. Whatever it was, Sharon said, she made it her mission to see it through. For her, it went far beyond the role of a caregiver. It became a heartfelt promise to honor Ozzy's last requests so he could pass on with comfort and clarity. In those closing weeks, Sharon was more than a devoted wife. She was his steady partner, ensuring that the legacy Ozzy had built over a lifetime was protected and carried forward. It wasn't a simple request, but a deeply personal final wish, one that Sharon carried on her shoulders as his wife, partner, and manager. It was no small matter, but a weighty responsibility, a promise she vowed to honor with all her love and devotion. For fans, the news of Ozzy's passing on July 22nd came as a devastating shock, signaling the loss of a true music icon. But for those closest to him, the moment brought not only sorrow, but also a bittersweet sense of comfort. Ozzy did not simply slip away unnoticed. He left with purpose, on his own terms. It wasn't a quiet fading, but a complete and deliberate farewell, having fulfilled what he knew he needed to before saying goodbye. In his final moments, Sharon never left his side, making sure Ozzy's last days unfolded exactly the way he wanted. With strength and endless love, she was more than a devoted wife. She was his closest companion, the one who helped him see his final wish through. Those last days were shaped by love and care, by honoring his desires while gently preparing for his departure. And when the time finally came, Ozzy's passing wasn't an empty ending, but a farewell filled with meaning, completeness, and peace, just the way he had chosen. Ozzy Osbourne's final wish was deeply emotional, yet it was carried out in true Ozzy fashion, with determination and respect for everything he had built over a lifetime. And the one who made that possible was the woman who had stood by his side for more than 40 years, Sharon Osbourne. Their relationship was more than a marriage. It was a lasting partnership that endured public scandals, personal struggles, and the relentless demands of global fame. Sharon was not only his wife, but also his closest companion, his manager, and the steady presence who stood with Ozzy in every defining moment of his life, especially as he faced his hardest battles in the final years. Through all the highs and lows of both their careers and personal lives, Sharon consistently showed unwavering love and devotion. Together, they weathered some of life's toughest challenges, from Ozzy's battles with addiction to the stormy chapters of his career. Yet it was in those very moments of hardship that their love grew even stronger, standing as proof of a relationship built on resilience, understanding, and deep respect. The bond within the Osborne family became a powerful example of how to face life's obstacles, with every trial only reinforcing the love and connection they shared. Sharon has always been more than just Ozzy's wife. She's his manager, his soulmate, and in many ways, the anchor that kept him steady through life's storms. Their bond wasn't built on love alone, but on unwavering support and loyalty. The two first crossed paths in the late 1970s when Sharon's father, Don Arden, was managing Black Sabbath. From the very start, Sharon, strong, sharp, and full of charisma, formed a unique connection with Ozzy. What began as romance quickly deepened into mutual understanding and empathy. Beyond being a loving partner, Sharon became the one who guided Ozzy through the toughest chapters of his career, especially during the difficult years marked by addiction and personal struggles. In 1982, Sharon and Ozzy officially tied the knot, marking a major milestone in both their lives. Despite facing countless trials and challenges over the years, their relationship has only grown stronger with time. Together, they became one of rock music's most iconic symbols of love, defined by commitment, sacrifice, and resilience. From Ozzy's career struggles to deeply personal battles, they faced every obstacle side by side. Their bond became a constant source of strength, allowing them to withstand the weight of global fame and the demanding life of a rock star. Sharon and Ozzy's marriage is more than just a well-known union. It stands as a powerful testament to lasting love and dedication, no matter the circumstances or hardships along the way. Throughout Ozzy's long battle with addiction, a struggle well documented over the course of his career, Sharon stood firmly by his side, acting as both a companion and a stabilizing force, making sure his life and career never completely unraveled. During the hardest years, when personal demons and addiction weighed heavily on him, she was the one person who never wavered. Even in his darkest moments, Sharon remained patient and steadfast, encouraging Ozzy to push through the obstacles that could have easily broken him. She wasn't just a wife supporting her husband. She was also the person who helped him keep his career intact and his spirit strong, sparing him from the downfall that so many other stars had tragically faced. In the decades that followed, Sharon became more than just a devoted wife. She also emerged as a public figure in her own right. From managing Ozzy's solo career to co-creating the MTV reality show The Osbornes, she played a central role in nearly every part of his professional and personal journey. The show offered fans an unfiltered glimpse into the Osborne family's life, and Sharon stood out for her ability to balance humor with genuine warmth, shaping the family's image in a way that deeply resonated with audiences. Beyond managing careers and appearances, she also safeguarded their private moments, making sure that, no matter how loud the world outside became, their bond and love as a family stayed intact. The Osbornes introduced the family to a whole new audience. People who may not have been fans of Ozzy's music, but were drawn in by his relatable humor and the chaotic charm that came through in every episode. The show was more than just a collection of funny family moments. It revealed an entirely different side of Ozzy, one who was approachable, vulnerable, and thoughtful in ways that made him feel like someone audiences could truly connect with. At its heart, the relationship between Ozzy, Sharon, and their children became the highlight, showing how they faced challenges together with empathy, love, and a healthy dose of laughter. Even for those who never listened to his music, The Osbornes allowed Ozzy to capture the hearts of a wider audience, who saw themselves reflected in the family's chaotic yet touching journey. That bond only grew deeper as Ozzy's health began to decline. In 2003, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, something he chose to keep private for many years before finally sharing it with the world in 2020. The illness became an enormous challenge, not only for Ozzy, but for his entire family. Over the years, he endured constant struggles, from relentless physical pain to the difficult process of coming to terms with a reality he could not change. For a man who had always been a symbol of power and energy on stage, adjusting to the changes in both his body and mind was especially painful. Through it all, Sharon and the rest of the family remained his greatest source of encouragement, giving him the strength to keep fighting. Sharon, who openly spoke about the pain of watching the disease progress, carried much of the emotional and practical weight during those difficult years. She was more than a loving wife. She was a steady pillar of strength, always standing by Ozzy when he needed her most. It was Sharon who first recognized that their days of touring, vibrant concerts, and unforgettable moments on stage had come to an end. After a lifetime of facing challenges together, she understood that it was time for their lives to change. "I've been doing this since I was 15, and now I'm done. We just want to live our lives, do what we want to do, and not be on a schedule anymore," she told Billboard in an interview before Ozzy's passing. In interviews, Sharon hinted that Ozzy had confided in her about something deeply important he wanted to accomplish before his time came. While she never revealed the details, it was clear that she was determined to honor his final wish, making sure his desires were fulfilled even in his last days. Ozzy's final weeks were not only about preparing to say goodbye, but also about creating meaningful moments with his family while safeguarding the legacy he had built over a lifetime. Sharon worked tirelessly to keep the family close, ensuring that Ozzy could leave this world in peace, comforted by the knowledge that his memories and legacy would live on forever. The legacy of the Prince of Darkness. Born John Michael Osborne on December 3, 1948 in Aston, Birmingham, is the remarkable story of a meteoric rise and a revolution in music. Coming from a poor working-class family, Ozzy Osbourne overcame endless obstacles to become a global icon, forever transforming the landscape of rock. His journey is not just one of personal triumph, but also a lasting symbol of resilience and determination in the arts. In 1968, Ozzy and the members of Black Sabbath created something entirely new: heavy metal. With crushing riffs, dark tones, and haunting lyrics, they sparked a revolution in music, laying the foundation for a genre that would grow to inspire and shape generations of artists around the world. Black Sabbath's debut album, released in 1970, delivered unforgettable tracks like Paranoid, Iron Man, and War Pigs. These songs didn't just redefine rock music. They cemented Black Sabbath's place as one of the most influential bands of their time. With heavy riffs, haunting lyrics, and raw energy, their music captured the fears, conflicts, and uncertainty of the era, turning them into undeniable icons of rock culture. Classics like Paranoid became timeless staples for generations of musicians and fans alike, while Ozzy Osbourne, through his electrifying voice and unique stage presence, emerged as the defining figure of a brand new genre, securing his place as a legend in the hearts of rock fans worldwide. With a remarkable solo career and unforgettable hits, like Crazy Train, Ozzy Osbourne proved himself to be one of the greatest rock vocalists in history. Crazy Train, with its iconic guitar riffs and Ozzy's commanding vocals, became more than just a timeless rock anthem. It stood as a symbol of his resilience and boundless talent. But Ozzy's success went far beyond music. Through the MTV reality series, The Osbornes, he connected with an entirely new audience, broadening his influence and cementing his family as cultural icons. The show revealed a different side of Ozzy, funny, approachable, and down-to-earth, while also shining a light on his unique bond with Sharon and their children. Together, they became an unforgettable part of global pop culture. Throughout his career, Ozzy Osbourne earned countless honors, including induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Yet beyond the awards, Ozzy will forever be remembered as one of the greatest legends in music history. His legacy lives not only in his songs and albums, but also in the lasting influence he has had on generations of musicians who followed. Every time he stepped on stage, every time his voice filled the air, Ozzy reminded the world why he was, and always will be, an irreplaceable icon, a true rock legend whose impact will never fade. For this, Ozzy needed Sharon's help. There was only one city that could give him the farewell he truly deserved: Birmingham, the place where he grew up and where his life changed forever. The city was preparing to honor him with a proper goodbye. For Ozzy Osbourne, Birmingham was more than just his birthplace. It was an inseparable part of who he was. This industrial town, the cradle of Black Sabbath, had long been celebrated as the birthplace of heavy metal, and no one embodied that legacy more than its most famous son. For Ozzy, Birmingham wasn't only where his journey began, it was the foundation of his story, the place where his music and his transformation first took flight and spread across the world. In the months leading up to July 2025, Birmingham came alive in tribute to Black Sabbath and their legendary frontman, Ozzy Osbourne. The local government launched the Summer of Sabbath, a citywide celebration honoring the band's undeniable influence on music and global culture. It was a powerful gesture from the city to one of the greatest groups of all time. Concerts, art installations, and special dedications filled the city, each highlighting the legacy that Black Sabbath, and especially Ozzy, had built. Birmingham also bestowed its highest honors, ensuring that the band's contributions were forever recognized, not only as hometown heroes, but as monumental figures in the history of world music. Among these honors, the four original members of Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward, were awarded the freedom of the city of Birmingham, a place forever tied to their musical legacy. To mark their careers, the city renamed a bridge in the band's honor, creating a permanent symbol of the influence they left behind. A commemorative bench was also unveiled, and perhaps most striking of all, a massive mural of Ozzy Osbourne was painted at the end of Villa Park Stadium. It became a gathering place not only for football fans, but also for heavy metal enthusiasts who wanted to share in an unforgettable night. That evening was more than a tribute to Ozzy and Black Sabbath. It was a chance for Birmingham to proudly celebrate the global musical legacy born in their city. This return wasn't just about the music, it was an emotional homecoming. The event turned into a once-in-a-lifetime experience for fans who traveled from all over the world. One fan from the US shared, "Meeting Ozzy in his hometown was truly unforgettable." Reactions like this captured just how special the night was, showing that it wasn't only about the songs, but also about the powerful connection between Ozzy and his fans, a bond that had been built and cherished for decades. You could feel the history in the air. These weren't just the words of one fan, but a shared sentiment that echoed throughout the entire stadium. Even those who had only followed Ozzy's career from a distance could sense they were witnessing something extraordinary, an event that honored the past while pointing toward the future. International media quickly picked up on its significance. With a star-studded lineup featuring some of the biggest names in rock and metal, a stadium packed with 40,000 devoted fans, and millions more watching live around the world, this was more than a concert. It was a global moment of cultural impact. Even before Ozzy's passing, tributes had already begun pouring in, proof of both his unmatched achievements and his lasting influence on the worlds of rock and metal. Ozzy's image was no longer just that of a groundbreaking artist, but of an icon whose presence lit the path for generations to come. His peers, who had walked beside him through countless highs and lows, could not hide their sorrow when he was gone. Messages of respect and remembrance came not only from close friends, but also from some of the biggest names in music, artists who had drawn inspiration from his sound, his spirit, and his way of life. One thing is certain: the legend of Ozzy Osbourne will live on forever in the hearts of music lovers around the world. Musicians, collaborators, and countless figures across the music world knew just how deep Ozzy Osbourne's influence ran. His career spanned decades of groundbreaking music and unforgettable performances, shaping entire generations of artists and fans alike. But as his time on stage and on this earth drew to a close, the sense of loss was profound. The rock and metal community felt the weight of saying goodbye to more than just a performer. Ozzy was not only an extraordinary artist, but an icon who redefined the boundaries of music itself, leaving behind an influence that can never be measured or replaced. Sir Elton John, one of Ozzy's dearest friends, was among the first to share his emotions after the news of Ozzy's passing. In his heartfelt tribute, Elton said, "He was a dear friend and a great pioneer who cemented his place in the pantheon of rock gods, a true legend." These words captured not only Elton's admiration, but also the undeniable truth of Ozzy's place in music history. His loss is felt deeply, not only by his family and friends, but by the entire musical world that he helped shape. What do you think about the legendary legacy of Ozzy Osbourne and the impact he left on rock music? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And if you'd like to hear more inspiring stories about the legends who changed the world, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next.